A very good morning to one and all. I, Dr. Mushtaq Sheikh, Head of Department and Associate Professor at Department of Pharmaceutical Chemistry, VS College of Pharmacy, welcome all the participants for the Research Connect series version 2. So here the objective is to make the student, the aspirant, the research aspirant, aware about the avenues and why they should pursue the career. We are also trying to help out such aspirant to choose the field of their interest and field of their liking and the field in which people can make their career based on their aptitude. So that is the main objective, to help you find out your aptitude in the fields. So today, our first talk which we are having is research avenues and career opportunities in formulation development. Needless to say, it is something to do with pharmaceutics. So we have a very renowned researcher and a teacher, Dr. Hemant Nair from Hyderabad with us. Before that, I would really want that one of very esteemed faculty member of University of Mumbai in the pharmacy division, right? Our very own principal, Supriya Shida, is also with us. So I would like to begin the talk with her welcome note and introductory note regarding this. Dr. Supriya Shidai does not need an introduction, but still, for a formality, let me introduce Dr. Supriya Shidai. She is principal of VS College of Pharmacy. With a teaching experience of 28 years, she has been playing a vital role in the field of pharmacy. Being a chairman of Board of Studies at University of Mumbai, she has proved and shown that how excellence can be brought in, you can say, academics and research together. Since this talk is regarding research, I would like to share with the people that Madam has great experience. The numbers which I'm just sharing now is her grants. So she has faced till date 1 crore 27 lakh rupees of grant from you can say government, and somewhere around 50,000 USD dollar grant from different industrial bodies. So that itself tells a lot. Along with that, she has been publishing very well 58 publications, which could be national and international. And in the meantime, she has filed 4 patents. So guys, I'm inviting Supriya Shidai Madam, who is a source of our inspiration, and she has kind of a zeal and enthusiasm that we would really love to hear. I welcome Professor Supriya Shidai Madam. Madam, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mushtaq, for your kind introduction. And excuse me, guys, for my attire, because I'm just through with my yoga class. I'm pursuing diploma in yoga because that's my another passion. Yoga is my passion, so excuse me for that. Talking about today's session, VS College of Pharmacy is delighted to present the Research Connect series to you. And the first speaker of this series is Dr. Hemant Nair. We are going to hear from her very soon. But before that, I would like to take a few minutes and talk about VS College of Pharmacy, the host institute who is organizing today's webinar. So VS College of Pharmacy was established in the year 2007 as an initiative of our senior most trustee, Shri V.L. Bulani ji. In the span of 15 years, our college has grown by leaps and bounds. We are presently running B.Pharm program with 100 intake, M.Pharm in various branches, pharmaceutics, quality assurance, and pharmaceutical chemistry. We also have PhD program in pharmaceutics and pharmaceutical chemistry. All our programs are affiliated to University of Mumbai. We have a permanent affiliation for B.Pharm program, and we also have approval under 2F and 12B section of UGC Act 1956. The vision of our college is to create competent pharmacy professionals who will positively impact the healthcare of the society. And with this vision in mind, our mission is to set up the state of the art infrastructure, recruit experienced and dedicated faculty members, committed support staff working towards maintaining very high quality standards in education. We strive hard to maintain active industry linkages, and the outcome of it is that we have a research collaboration center with Procter and Gamble in our own premises, along with some more collaborations with renowned industries. Our college is also a scientific and industrial research organization approved by Department of Scientific and Industrial Research, DSIR of Government of India. In the survey conducted by AICT CII to identify best industry-linked institutions, we have been always placed in the platinum ranking, that is the highest ranking. And in 2018, we were placed top in the with first rank in the category of established pharmacy colleges. Now, to maintain this innovation and research ecosystem, we have invited Professor Mangal Nagasekar, the Emeritus Professor from Bombay College of Pharmacy, as our research advisor. And the institute has successfully completed some industrial projects as well as government funded projects under her guidance. Our every postgraduate student, along with his or her guide, gets an opportunity to get the project guided by her throughout their post-graduation program. Keeping the objective of inculcating entrepreneurship and innovative spirit among our students, we have established Institutions Innovation Council as per the guidelines of Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell. Under this cell, we conduct a lot of innovative and competitive events such as Chemtastic, Tech Fest, Ignition, which are similar to hackathon, and students get the opportunity to showcase their creativity and novel ideas through this platform. And recently, and even during the first cycle of our Institution Innovation Council, we have got very high 4-star rating for our work and activities under this innovation agenda. VS was ranked always in a very high ranking position in the NIRF, and thus we hold among top 100 to 125 position as per the National Institutional Ranking Framework of India. In June 22, that is very recently, we also received A plus grade with 3.46 CGPA in our first cycle of NAC accreditation. And that is how our programs have gone to the next level as per the expectations of accreditation bodies. We have campus to corporate transition cell, which is working very actively for the holistic development of our students. And we keep on increasing exposure of our students to the professionals from the industry by conducting add-on courses, seminars, workshops, and guest lectures by the industry professionals. Our students have reciprocated our efforts by demonstrating all-round performances of their professional career, which motivates us to work harder for their overall development. So on 5th September 22, we have also received the overall runner-up championship trophy from University of Mumbai for our participation in the Inter-University Research Convention Avishkar, where we have received several gold and silver medals. And our innovative and creative performance was awarded and recognized by the University of Mumbai among so many participating colleges affiliated with University of Mumbai. So our achievement in research with more than 130 publications, 6 patents, and progressive academic track record helped us in improving our NIRF rank as well as our overall accreditation status. But this is not an end. We know that we have to still go a long way, but WESCOP with its team will regularly, will consistently strive hard towards our commitment to the society, commitment to our students of maintaining very high quality standards in education. So, without wasting further time of yours, I would request our anchor, our coordinator, Professor Mushtaq Sheikh, HOD of Department of Chemistry, to take this program ahead. Thank you very much, Dr. Hema Nair, to be a resource person for the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, madam, for those guiding and motivating words. So let us begin with the session, Research Avenues and Career Opportunities in Formulation Development. Before that, I would like to place a little bit introduction of Professor Hema Nair, madam. Needless to say that madam is our very own, because she had been there for 15 years or maybe more than that at University of Mumbai. She was working as assistant professor at Bombay College of Pharmacy for 15 years, and now she has moved to Hyderabad and associated with Sri Venkateshwara College of Pharmacy. She did her BPharm and MPharm with University of Mumbai only, and PhD from SNDT Women's University, and she has also pursued diploma in patent law from Nalsar Law University. So since it is a research kind of connect series, talking about her research experience, she has guided almost 29 MPharm students and 2 PhD students. She has published 3 national and 14 international papers, along with 2 book, you can say book chapters, and 50 plus, including 50 plus papers were presented at various conferences, workshops, out of which 4 received Best Paper Award. If you talk about grants, which is again another indicator of a person's, you can say, research intellect, then we can say that she has received a lot of grants, totaling around 50 lakh rupees from AICT, UGC, University of Mumbai, ICMR, then you see RGNF. So that tells a lot. And as even as a co-investigator, she has been with many projects like AICT, BRNS, DBT, which totals around 75 lakhs. So it makes 1 crore 25 lakh of grant. So she is also very active as far as our profession is concerned. She is a member of IPA and APTI, member of editor board of Indian Journal of Pharmaceutical Sciences. Many of you will be knowing. And she has been reviewing many scientific articles from various journals all over the globe, like AAPS, Pharma Science, then Journal of Microencapsulation, Journal of Drug Delivery Sciences and Technology, etc., etc. Along with it, she has presented herself being available for guiding even teachers like us in case when you have faculty development program or some syllabus upgrading workshop, or maybe organizing, planning and execution of several seminar and conference by herself. She has also referred number of MPharm and PhD theses. So with this brief introduction, I invite Dr. Hema Nair, madam. Thank you very much for just accepting our invite on a just single call. Over to you, madam.
Hello, I'm audible, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, you are.
So, Mushtaq, before beginning, I have to thank you for 2 things. First is for that nice introduction, and the other thing is for this invitation. It is very nice to be associated with an institute as premier as yours, and the video at the beginning and Dr. Supriya's, you know. Talk a little while ago, I was not completely aware, and I'm totally impressed, and all the best. Kudos to all your team. I think it's very nice, and it's the way to go. So that the whole thing that you have such a strong research presence, and with Nagar Singhan madam to tip you just mentioned a lot of my grants which were as co-guide, and all of them were with madam. So with madam at the tip of the research table, you cannot go wrong. I think that way. And Dr. Supriya Shide also, because she's taught me when a few things when I was in my BPharm, and I know she's a born teacher, and I think it's the whole thing is in the right pair of hands, and it can only go better and higher. And that is also my wish for the institute, right? So I think that's a good backdrop to start with the topic that we have set upon, which is research avenues and career opportunities in formulation development. So a small disclaimer, because this is the age of disclaimers. So all the views in all the slides which you see are all mine, absolutely my personal views. Also, see, this is all what Westcop and other institutes are doing, starting incubation cells and all that. It's the right time, and it's the right time when you can seize all the opportunities that are coming up. So, for example, in the recent statistics released by the Ministry of Pharmaceuticals, it says that India is third in globally in the pharmaceutical arena in terms of volume. Okay, and we've been hearing this for many years. 1 in 3 pill consumed across the globe is made in India. So we are doing fine in that direction. But we are ranked 14th as far as value is concerned, which means there is a big gap between the volume and the value. The value addition comes from research. Right, so there is a big gap, and the government therefore has come up with draft guidelines to bridge this gap and try and take us a step further towards being also a research-oriented pharma sector, despite the patent law being amended and patents being encouraged, and lot of efforts by the government to even improve the patent tendency of academicians. Still we are lacking as far as research is concerned. A lot of what we are doing is just juggling the same old stuff, especially in academics, which we need to change. And the government is also going to invest a lot in improving institute industry interactions. Okay, so I think sort of units like your incubation cell, it is the right juncture at which it has been brought out, and these are the opportunities which you can tap in the near future. So through my talk, I hope I address the concerns that the organizers had. I will be talking briefly about what kind of skill sets you should have when you choose research or formulation development as your career. We will go through your academic pursuit that you should have in order to reach that goal. We will look at how research happens in the academia, how different it is in the industry, and also at some upcoming and future research trends. So it's all about your career choice post BPharm, right? So I picked this tree from Google. If you say Google images for career opportunities, you get a lot of such trees. You get many hierarchical diagrams. It's not a well-made tree. I just took it to tell you that no, it's not that everyone needs to have a career in formulation development. As you know, through your years of BPharm, you would have picked up there are a lot of things you can do. You can be in quality assurance, you can be in regulatory, you can be in production. And I have my classmates who have done well in all these fields, right? So when you choose a career, it's not only the monetary benefit, of course, that has to come, but if it matches with your aptitude, right, then it's a very win-win situation. So you enjoy what you're doing, you get the required financial benefit out of it, you get satisfaction and contentment, and I think that should be the goal at the end of the day. And I'm not painting a rosy picture here. I'm not telling you that okay, you have an inclination towards research, you go for R&D and all your problems are sorted. Definitely not. There are a lot of other mountains which you may need to climb. There is politics everywhere, there are people trying to pull you down. It's not an easy environment because it's so competitive. It's so competitive. There are 1,400 pharmacy colleges across the country, and all of them are coming out with aspirants with nearly the same dreams, right? So because of competition, there's a lot of politics and a lot of other stuff that happens. But I think if you keep pursuing and if you are good at your work, then none of these can ultimately, temporarily, yes, they may present you with setbacks, but finally you will have your way. Right? So, since we're talking of research opportunities in formulation development, just at the outset, let's define what is research. So research is definitely an original contribution to the existing stock of knowledge. Oftentimes, when companies name their departments, they name it as F&D. Okay, there is no word, there is the research word is also often missing, because it's formulation development cannot absolutely qualify for research. Here, during formulation development, there may be patches of actual research that you put in. But no, it is a mixture of just development work where you put an excipient of which you know the properties, the drug of which you know the properties together to make a product of which you can anticipate the properties. Okay, so it is. Although here again there are elements of research, and the parts of research which is study, observation, planning of experiments, comparison of the results, coming up with inference, all that is definitely there. It is definitely there. So if you have to enjoy this kind of work, you have to have certain mental qualities, okay, or you have to be able to build them up. So you have to be able to, you have to have a natural tendency to inquire why a certain thing happened. You have, supposing, you know, you're in the chemistry lab synthesizing some drug when you're in your third year or final year, and you have got a yield of 5 grams, and your friend doing on the same table with the same ingredients, okay, the same starting material, everything the same, on his own gets 0.5 grams, or vice versa. Right? Now, I would say, if you may not solve this problem, why I got 5 and why that person got 0.5, but for both parties, if research is your aptitude, it should at least, you should at least have a passing fleeting thought, why so much difference? Why so much difference? You should have that mentality of inquiry. If you're okay with it, okay, I got, you're not concerned why the difference happened, probably you have to build up that investigational mindset. So, you know, some I have seen so many students, so some naturally have this aptitude for research, and some are little lacking. These days, all students want white collar jobs. They typically don't want, many I feel, do not want to approach the table, the workstation, which would, you know, for somebody like me after my BPharm and all, it was such a charm to be working in the lab. So Google is not a synonym for research, at least not for the kind of research we are doing. The bench is required, and you must enjoy lab experiments. If you, I have students who, master students, they come to you with some results, you find some discrepancy, you say, oh, this is not good. Some of them are like extremely worried. You mean I have to repeat, ma'am? They don't want to repeat. Whereas there are others who will say, do you want me to repeat? So I think that kind of difference I always pick, and I always feel that, you know, they should be having two different things which give them joy and happiness, and both of them probably are not inclined towards lab experiments. Also, as you grow up in the career ladder, say for example, I may not myself here and there on a regular basis go to the lab and work. Similarly, even if you are in the industry, as you climb the ladder, you become a team lead, you are more of the strategy person than the actual lab experiments person. But still, a love of tinkering with apparatus, a love of using different pieces of equipment, learning how different instruments work. I think that is something that a researcher, at least in our kind of experimental setup, the kind of experiments which we do, is an added big asset. Some more qualities, of course. You must have good basic and good subject knowledge. There is no escape. There is no escape. Here is another problem I see with the current generation. Everything is available on their phones, but not much somehow penetrates, because they're not focused, they're not very concerned. Their concepts or your concepts, or students don't work on concepts. They just, somehow few do, many don't. So they just take it as a exam to exam. Their connect with the subject comes only at the point of the examination, and the rest of the time they're disconnected. So just to overcome that exam hurdle, some mugging, some learning, but no concept. See, that will not, I think, take you very far as a researcher, because or you, as you start, you have to open up your Lackman and open up your basic books and Martin and start brushing up, because you may get your first break or whatever, but it is going to be very difficult for you to sustain without the fundamentals in place. So I don't know, some of the listeners may be knowing this person, but I don't want to use any names or anything. So there was a junior who was from a very interior village in, this is, just to motivate all of you to know your subject better. So very interiors of Maharashtra, and from a vernacular medium, and did very well in GATE. Those days it was GATE and not GPAT, and came to a premier institute in Mumbai, did masters and PhD under very reputed guide, and took off, and did not get any opportunities immediately in formulation development, and joined as a clinical research associate. Did not like the job at all, but they happened to send him to the US for a 3-month training. There he came to realize of a postdoctoral opportunity at a university, and the work was very similar to what he had done for his PhD. So he applied. Now, once he applied, the guide called somebody from the same institute who was a master's student there, and asked her to find out. She did not know him, of course, asked her to find out some background about this person. So she got in touch with her friends back here and gave the report that he's good, but communication is very poor. English is poor. So despite this, because his write-up, his ideas for how to execute the project were very good, he was called for the interview, did well, got the position. Today heads preform for Novartis, and he is the person who takes some very, very basic decisions about new molecules, which they do in-house or which they outsource from other R&D centers, and the decision of whether the molecule has got basic physicochemical properties to fulfill drugability, that means to work as a drug, is taken by him and his group. So his great science is what got him so far, right? So you can only fool to a certain extent initially. You have to have good grasp over your subject. I'm sorry. Again, you must know how to interpret data. So when the data comes to you, a lot of people say research is what you make out of what you see. So when the data comes to you, there are different angles of looking at it. It may be simple, it may be a dissolution study. There are different angles of looking at it. There are different ideas that come to different people, and it's not enough to say, okay, this is the angle of repose or this is the dissolution profile. It's required that you read deeper into what you see. So data interpretation is another quality which is a must for a good researcher. Honesty. I know many students at undergraduate level make their way around experiments by manipulation. Many at PG level also do. But if you want to have a good career in research, honesty must be there. If your result is, if you're not getting the intended result, there is a problem. You need to solve that problem rather than reporting a dishonest outcome. Okay, this becomes very, very important when you are getting into the industry and doing, there is a lot of question marks on the data that comes in from countries like India and China, unfortunately. So the regulatories like, the US FDA and all, they do more and more things. Today it's all live data capture. So if you're in the QA, whatever your HPLC peak, everything is captured alive. you have no scope for manipulation, because we have reached so far because people are manipulating. There are Indian companies which have fallen out of they are in the defaulters list, and no, they are not allowed to sell anymore in the US market or do any research for the US because of data integrity issues, honesty issues, right? So you have to overcome the need to manipulate your results. And being students, I think this is, again, you don't realize the implication of this. Now, supposing you say, okay, my HPLC data is going to go, the front end data is going to go to the directly into the batch manufacturing records or something. Whatever you, even if you learn to manipulate the back end, even that is also checked at a US FDA inspection. The back-end data is also looked at. They bring software experts who will see if you have manipulated. So it is very, very essential that you develop the quality of honesty. Teamwork, obviously, whether you're working in an institutional setup or whether you're working in an organization, there is no escape from that. You have to be a part of a team member, because none of this is a one-man effort. It's always teamwork. You have to be meticulous. You cannot be haphazard and do your experiments anyway. You're weighing, you weigh little less, little more. So those things are not qualities of a good researcher. You must be careful and meticulous in your approach to lab experiments. Finally, you have to be open to acquiring new skills and learning new sciences. Now, for example, there were days when whatever the animal ethics was not so strong, and you could easily do animal experiments without even approaching an ethics committee. But today, that's not the case. And even when you approach the ethics committee with an animal experiment, it is more likely to be struck off, because you can do the similar kind of work in a cell line. So you will be redirected to do a cell line work. And unfortunately, many of us in pharma are not equipped. And we are not equipped. Most colleges are not able to have those facilities, do not have the cell culture, mammalian cell culture labs. Even those who have, they cannot give access to all their masters and PhD students. And so, these are skills which you have to be ready to learn. If you step into the industry and you don't know this yet, you have to learn many things which you may not have learned in your B Pharm and M Pharm, and which you may consider is not the scope of a pharmacy student. Today, it's all integrated. The pharma industry itself is starting to be called biopharma. The entire kind of molecules that you're going to see in the future, how you deliver them, how you develop formulations for them, everything is changed. Everything is set to change. And so you yourself must be open to learning and to being part of this change. Over a period of time, as you spend more and more time with the research-based career, you must also develop other abilities, like the ability to see a big picture. This is, again, I put it here because I see many students, they're not able to imagine that far. It may not be as much required when you're doing your M-Pharm work, or to some extent PhD, but when you enter the industry, definitely. Say, for example, this is just an arbitrary example, which is from my end. Supposing you have to tackle a stability issue for a molecule. Okay, so it's you are developing a generic product, and the innovator's product has got like a 3-year shelf life, and yours is showing stability problems after a year, which means you have to do something to improve the stability. Now you go through literature, you may have many approaches depending upon what is the degradation pathway that the drug is taking, and you could design something around it. But when you do this, right, you have to keep in mind that you don't fidget or spoil any other attribute of the product. Whatever technology, whatever idea you have to increase stability should be affordable. It should not increase the cost of the product. It should be scale upable, so it should be, you should be able to do it at whatever scale that the batches are going to be taken. It should not affect other properties of the product like its dissolution, etc. Right? It should be satisfactory from the regulatory perspective, very important, otherwise your idea will get struck down. So all these things have to be built in, not only while so it's not only necessary to solve the problem of stability, but it is necessary to solve it in a manner that you don't create another problem, right? All the other aspects have to be, so the big picture has to be there in front of you every time you think, what am I going to do for the stability? And of course, leadership qualities. Even if you are at an institute, or if you are at uh, uh, in the industry, over time you will move up. You will have people working as per your instructions, which means you have slowly transformed into a leadership role. And it is essential that you develop qualities which define a good leader. It will throw up much more opportunities for you if you do that. So these are not inbuilt. They are inbuilt in some individuals, and they can be learned and acquired by the others. So getting started, this is something which all of you know. You must, if you have a research career in mind, then you must do your masters. You should ideally follow it up with a PhD. Postdoctoral opportunities in India are limited. Of course, you can go for your MS abroad and continue there with your PhD. Postdoctoral opportunities are many. It's not that they're not there in India. Many universities do encourage postdoctoral fellows, and they have faculty with postdoctoral positions. But again, let me tell you, they're limited. They're present only in a select few universities. But it's an added advantage if you are very keen on pursuing. Again, it depends on what kind of research. Probably for formulation development, especially in the industry these days, PhD is adequate enough. It's more than enough. Okay, and you also have a lot of part-time options. I'm not encouraging you to do the part-time ones, but you do have, if you have financial hurdles or anything, and you still want to improve your qualifications, there are avenues which you can use, and there are things which you can do even if you're working. Right? So there are 800 plus universities across India which are offering PhDs. Many are offering part-time, many are offering distance, and all sorts of arrangements are there. But when you embark on this journey, again, don't look for shortcuts. Don't look for shortcuts. It's okay to do it part-time, but do it with all your spirit, and that is when you will learn. Okay, don't take shortcuts. I have myself seen people whose guide is somewhere, and they are somewhere, and all the work is just they pay off here and there to labs and get some work done, and they're totally disconnected with the project, and they have a PhD but not much use. Okay, so I don't know, this is something which I always want to convey. An MPharm or a PhD is not a piece of paper. It's not a degree only. Okay, you're calling yourself the master in a subject. You have to make some effort to get there, right? The shortcuts don't work. I know you are. No, we are like I see that some of us may be the staircase generation, and you are the elevator ones. You want to go up very fast and not. But it'll those kind of compromises will show up somewhere or the other, and will. Is very likely to trouble you. So go through it, do it sincerely, learn while you do, and that's the whole thing. That's the whole aim. Okay, so formulation development obviously is not the only area in which you can enter into research. If you are planning for a research career, you can have all these other avenues which are put up on the slide here. Okay, so there is research opportunities in synthesis and API generation, biotech, genomics, all the drugs of the future, pharmac, clinical research. Then an analytical method itself, maybe the routine methods or bioanalytical methods, which are very difficult to develop, but required for all sorts of bioequivalent studies and everywhere. So there is lots of areas. Okay, but this is something which I have been hearing even when I was wondering what to do my M.Pharm in. Okay, because I used to almost like everything. I did not have any particular dislike for chemistry or pharmacology or any particular liking for pharmaceutics. I used to like everything. But what I would hear is, for everything else, there are others. Like organic chemists are there. There are MScs in analytical chemistry. There are MBBS post Pharmac students who can compete with you in the clinical arena and all that. But formulation development is our area. Formulation development is something that is reserved and that can only be done by pharma graduates. But I think that's a bubble now. Okay, maybe few years ago that used to be the position, but now it is not so. And if we want it to stay so, we have to up our game. We have to tie our shoelaces better and gear up. Now, I'm just showing you a few examples. This paper, pro-apoptotic liposomes, nanobubble conjugate for paclitaxel, ultrasound responsive image-guided drug delivery. This comes from IIT Mumbai with no pharma background. Okay, the second paper that I've put below there is from the ceramics department of IIT BHU. Okay, and a lot of ceramic materials, silica, nanoparticles, and all are being again promoted a lot for drug delivery, and we don't have such a grip over making these particles. This is the drug delivery lab at Iisc Bangalore. It's a screen grab from the institute's website. Okay, so they have a drug delivery lab, and the principal investigator who is in charge of the lab is BTech and MTech IIT Kharagpur. Okay, and you look at the publications that come out from the drug delivery lab, they are outstanding, and they have way more than what many pure pharma institutes can produce. Right? They're in very good journals and very good papers. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that we cannot stay in the bubble that drug delivery is something which we have. If we don't learn more, if we don't improve, if we don't up our research abilities, we are going to be on the losing end. Companies are going to hire from these places, and that's not such a good thing. So no, it's very essential that we stay tuned to the realities of the present and accordingly prepare ourselves. Okay, so your options in case you are like we are discussing, you want to pursue a career in research. Your options obviously are academia, industry, government. I'm not going to look too much at the government options. There are labs like CSIR and a lot of CSIR associated labs, CCMB. All of these do work on novel therapies, especially therapies which are special to the third world. Like, malaria is not a problem with the West. Why would they develop a drug for it? Right? So they typically look at diseases which are and areas which are more a problem in developing and underdeveloped nations. And because they look at new therapies, they also do some extent of formulation work. But again, the options are it's a very limited setup. Right? So if you are very happy with research and you want to pursue, then it's largely, of course, either academia or industry. And both these options have their own charm. They have their own charm. They have their own plus points and minus points. So I'll just take you a little through these. So if some of you are thinking, I want to get into teaching. Teaching obviously is useless if you don't get into research. Not useless, that's a strong word. But the whole enticement there is that you start with your research activities. So just to put things in perspective, we'll get through to first to the academic research. Okay, so academic research, the first point that anybody would tell you is you can do what you want. You can take any topic that you want, and you can you're not dictated to that. Oh, you cannot you cannot, you don't have to defend too much. Okay, you have to a limited extent. The rationale has to be there, the logic has to be there, but the topic is left to you. The topic is left to you, so you can freely choose what area of research you want to be in. Okay, of course, the cartoon on the right hand side, the font may be small, but if you can read it, it actually tries to say is this is just theory. In practice, you need funding. So you have to write for funding agencies, and you want to write kind of research that they want, and not the kind of research that you may want to do. So in the early years, yes, as the no, first negative bullet in the bottom of my slide says, it may be required that you take on projects which will bring in money. Okay, and fetch you more publications. So in between there was this nano boom. So unless you write nano, in the middle of nano, if you write to DBT and say I want to make tablets, you're most likely to be chucked off, right? So that way, when in the earlier stages as a researcher, definitely these things matter, but over time you can do both. You can do what you want, what you like, and you can also supplement by doing what these kind of agencies want, because finally funding is a requirement. Any kind of research needs money. Another charm about the academic research is freedom from regulatory compliance requirements. When you research in the industry, you are completely under the scrutiny of regulatory. You cannot, the excipients that you use, the quantities in which you use them. So, everything is confined. Whereas when you are researching in the academic sector, I'm not saying it's a healthy practice. See, what I do is typically for my students, recently we wanted to use carbopol for an oral delivery. So carbopol is very widely used for topical, and there are very few grades which are used for oral delivery. So we didn't have any of those grades. So what I did is I took my student through the US FDA site for inactive ingredients, and showed which grades of carbopol and in what quantities the regulatory has so far approved for oral dosage forms. And then we decided we didn't have any of those grades, so we used a topical grade. But at least I ensure that the student knows that there are regulatory limitations to planning formulation development work. Okay, but purely as such in academia, those limitations are not very serious. So you have the freedom to explore. You can synthesize new excipients, you can modify existing materials and use them without worrying too much about whether the product will get approved or no, because right now you're not looking for approval. And also I somehow believe this is very healthy, because this is what will bring innovation. This is what will bring innovation. You synthesize an excipient which is very good, or you modify an existing material to something very good and with lot of applications. Not today, but sometime in future, definitely it will make its way into the regulatory scenario and get approved. Of course, if it's provided it is not toxic and satisfies all the other requirements. But that's how innovation comes. So strict compliance with the regulatory requirement may stifle to some extent innovation. That's again my personal opinion. Okay. Then there is like I said, funding crunches, facility may not be there. These are downsides of academic research. Again, depends on institute to institute. Most institutes do try to proactively build a research environment, get equipments, get grants, encourage their faculty to do it, but many also don't. Okay, so you must make an effort to try and get into a good place when you go for your research studies. And of course, later on when you want to join the academic research. Also, if you join academia as a researcher, you will have to tackle some administrative work and teaching responsibilities. And if you like research but don't like teaching, that could be something of an issue. Academic research is has yielded lot of big stories. I'm not I cannot get into all those stories, but a few highlights which I picked up from a paper. The paper is there below. You can click a pic and go through the entire paper. It gives lot of inputs about how academic research has had such valuable contributions to what the industry shows, and to what has is available to the in the drug scenario today. So 55% of all US FDA drugs approved till 2015 were somehow connected to some basic things reported in academia. So like I said, somebody does some synthesis, reports something, later on it is picked up and worked on and reaches the stage of regulatory approval. But the seeds were sown in that academic setup, right? Then many targets which were later on used to develop drugs were identified and characterized by academia. A lot of technologies and platforms such as antibody humanization, that is making the human antibodies, the biologics revolution, like the newer anti-cancer therapies like the CTLA4 and PD1 therapies, CAR T therapy, all these have originated in academia. The first siRNA based therapy, the idea of siRNA was sown in academia. So, academic research, like I said, because of the freedom that it has, it can come up with wonders. Some more examples in drug delivery. Not the first one, of course. The first rDNA technology for producing insulin has come from, the patent was held by University of California. It was somehow refuted and the patent was it was challenged later on by Eli Lilly, and then they won the challenge. But the original patent, the idea was from University of California. Liposome, which today is a big thing in drug delivery, big thing, is from an institute, the Babraham Institute, and there was a researcher there who, they had purchased a new electron microscope. So they were trying to look at different things under that microscope. So for some reason, he just took some phospholipids and hydrated them with a dye. And then when he looked, he could see these vesicles. The researcher's name was Alex Bangham, and he almost named them bangosomes. Okay, luckily for the entire pharma community, probably his colleague intervened and said that's not a good name, let's be more scientific. And because those were phospholipids, went ahead and they named them as liposomes. So that's it originated there, 1961, and maybe 35 years later, it's there in the therapy. Similarly, microemulsions, it sowed the seeds for so many types of products, meds, SEDs, which are all marketed today. Okay, it was again a serendipitous, accidental discovery in the University of Cambridge in 1943, when a researcher was trying to titrate a mixture of surfactant, water, and oil with a co-surfactant, with hexanol or something, and they saw that it was turning transparent, and they called it microemulsions. The name stayed, and it paved the way for a lot of new therapies, right, to solve a lot of problems in poorly soluble drugs. So academic research has, the scope to come up with lot of wonderful ideas. Okay, all these examples did not happen in India, but the scenario here also is changing. There are many teachers, many faculty who show growing interest in trying to do work which can translate into commercial products. Okay, they have a grasp of the regulatory aspects, they have a grasp of how scale up can happen, and they're actually trying to do research which can be translated in and have a commercial perspective in the future. Okay, the patent regime, of course, since the new patent law in 2005, it is very encouraging and not expensive also for academicians to get patents. Your institute also has, and many faculty have actually. There is also encouragement. I prepared this slide without knowing that you are going to start an incubation center. So many colleges, many institutes are starting such ventures of trying to encourage their faculty to have startups. There are institutes in India where faculty, if they get a good enough idea, they can go ahead and have their own startup. Okay, so I'm not using any names because I don't want to advertise or disadvertise any institute, but you can find out. It's not. It's this. All this information is not. It's not a secret. All this kind of encouragement, even in India, there are professors with patented technologies. There are professors who have trademarked ideas, trademarked methods of doing certain things, which they are selling to the pharma industry. They are selling their technologies and their trademarks and the ways which they have developed in their labs. This is all happening. Okay, so the whole idea of me transmitting all this to you is that if you want to have a career in research, try to get to the best place to do your research, and that is where you will gain with all these kind of not necessary abroad, even in India. Absolutely, yes. If you go to the right place, your exposure will be tremendous. A lot of teachers handle industry projects. Okay, and that gives tremendous exposure to their students to know how research is to be carried out in a way which can translate to the commercial thing. Okay, next we move on to research in the industry. Okay, of course, financially more rewarding, but with its own different set of problems. Right. So funding is not an issue when you are in the industry. Facilities are available, all sorts of instruments, equipments are purchased, and you can really do good work. Okay. There is also a satisfaction of seeing what you worked for in the market. Okay, that's a totally different kind of happiness you get when something that you worked on, a project that you really put your heart and soul into, is now on the shelf, right? So that kind of joy is there. But again, the downside, of course, research is within the regulatory framework. I will not call that a downside. That is absolutely required because you are going to give these medications to unsuspecting patients, right? They trust you. So regulations need to be followed, and it's not like you buy a pen that doesn't work, you lose 5 or 10 rupees. You buy some clothes that are damaged, you lose a few hundred rupees. But you buy medication, the patient buys medication which is substandard, does not solve his problem, creates an additional problem, that is not acceptable, right? So the regulatory control has to be there. So it's just that whatever research is done in the industry has to be done within this framework. The poor part is that what you research on is not in your hands at all. It is driven by market forces, by the marketing team will decide what kind of dosage form you have to make, what kind of color it has to have, what kind of packaging it has to have, largely. So you have to cater to those kind of forces. Okay, and another problem is the company can suddenly drop or pick its research interest. So you work on something and suddenly that's not important, and the project is totally dropped. And I have seen amongst colleagues and friends that this creates disappointment, but I guess you get used to it. So it's just that I'm telling you the ground things. Also, like I said, there's more of development work and restricted formulation research work. Restricted again depends on what you are working on. Okay, so if you see the listing here, the probability that you're working on the generic products, if you join any industry, is very high, very high. And the probability that you get to work on an NDA, which is far more challenging, is as of now pretty low. Pretty low, right? So again, it depends on which pharma you are. Some of them are totally generic. So no, you are developing a copy of the innovator. And that's by no means easy. It's not easy at all, and that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that there is more challenge when you go for the more evolved products, right? So conventional generic products like tablets, capsules, whatever it is that the innovator has put up as the R&D, that is the reference listed drug. So ANDAs, or which is known in the US as the 505J applications, ANDA standing for abbreviated new drug application, is for a copy of the original product. So you may be working on those kind of generics. You may be working on differentiated generics. Again, there are Indian companies who are in this field, and differentiated generics are not, they could also fall under the next category, that is 505B2 applications. Say, for example, the marketed RLD is a conventional tablet, and you try and develop a mouth dissolved tablet, same strength. Okay, still it is not absolutely the same generic version. So it could be a differentiated product, or it could not, it could go into a hybrid application. So it could go either way, but those are the things. And there are specialty generics. As drugs are falling off patent, there are liposomal deliveries, there are nanotechnologies which are also now generic, because the earlier product is a liposome and you are trying to develop a generic. So these are specialty generics which are also being developed to a great extent. So you could be working in any of these areas. The highest chance being that you are with conventional generic products, at least initially. Okay, hybrid application is is a kind of product wherein you are changing maybe the route of delivery, or you are changing the drug is of patent, it is a known molecule. You don't have to start right from scratch and do all toxicity and efficacy studies, but you have to just do some bridging studies, because your delivery system is different from what the innovator has put up. It could be a sustained release product, which means you are changing the frequency of use, you are changing the pattern of use of the product. It could be a new route. Okay, so like the famous example of insulin, which actually unfortunately failed, was the Exubera, the inhalable insulin. So imagine if you didn't have to take a prick. Diabetics, some of them insulin dependent ones, take like 3-4 pricks a day before every meal, and if you could inhale instead. But for some reasons the product didn't click, but it did come to the market. So these kind of of course it would require extensive studies, and it's not only like an ANDA where all you have to do is a bioequivalence. So these kind of product developments are carried out, they're known as hybrid developments. Then of course there are the new drugs and the biologicals and biosimilars, which are gaining more and more prominence. If you decide to join the industry, where would you be? Either you would be like the R&D department of any big or small Indian drug manufacturing company, right? So Sun, Reddy's, and Maxi, any of all of these, so many Indian firms have their own formulation R&D departments. You could be placed there. There are contract research organizations where you may get a greater variety to work on. See, when you are in the like say a big pharma company, again, no, there is a lot of subdivisions that happen. There are a lot of teams that work, and each team tends to get specialized in a particular area. So if you are in tablets, you may always do tablets, so unless you switch or you go up higher or whatever. So no, there is more of micro areas which you enter and you stay there, whereas the contract research organizations, of course, some of them cater to specific products only, just pellets, just films, okay, whereas some develop over several platforms. So contract research organizations, they'll not market the product, they will develop it for somebody else on contract. They don't manufacture it. Some of them even manufacture but don't market. Okay, then there are a big placement opportunity for research based, formulation R&D based is the excipient firms. I've just put a few examples there because all of these people take a lot of MPharm and PhD candidates and do very good work with them. They have application labs where they try out newer applications for their existing excipients. They collaborate with industry and help them solve their problems so that they can use their excipient more effectively. They develop new excipients. Okay, for example, one of these companies has a big portfolio of magnesium stearate. Okay, now magnesium stearate is a lubricant. It is used for tablets and capsules as a lubricant. They have huge grades of magnesium stearate. Still, sometimes none of these grades satisfy the customer's requirement, and they do a personalized magnesium stearate grade development. Can you, I mean, I am just thinking, how important each small excipient becomes when it comes to large scale manufacturing. The properties need to be tuned so finely. Okay, so there is lot of exciting opportunities in all the excipient firms. Again, the difference being the same excipient could be used for multiple purposes, so you get to work across. You can have an excipient which is lipidic. It is used in external use products. It is used as in tablets. It is used as a sustained release excipient. It is used in topical products. So a lot of the applications can be explored. There are also firms which I think my thing is blocked, but which do software development, and they need technical experts. Now I put this in because many of you are looking for white collar things to do. So there are people like Stimulation Plus, Gastro Plus. They develop software. Today is everybody is trying to get into artificial intelligence and use the background knowledge that we already have and develop algorithms instead of actually going to the bench and doing the experiment. So first you do in the in silico way, and then you go proceed to the lab experiment. So there is a lot of software development for all these pharmacokinetic modeling, looking at the dissolution profile and predicting the pharmacokinetics and all such kind of things. So these software development firms also hire research candidates. Okay, just a glimpse at the future. The future would belong to delivery of biologicals like genes, aptamers, antisense oligonucleotides, siRNA, and all those kind of therapies, which the treatment, the handling, very different from conventional chemicals. Okay, newer technologies will come. 3D printing is coming in a big way. There are already US FDA approved products. Now, if you say 3D printing, everything, the development of the machinery, the development of the material which can be printed, the additive, the material which can be printed into a 3D tablet, all of these are strong areas for research. Very, very strong areas for research. There is also US FDA approved 3D printed product in the market. So it's not like it's very far away. It's going to happen soon. There are institutes in India who are doing elaborate work on 3D printing. They already have generated the facilities. Okay. Products, continuous manufacturing again is going to be another new thing that's going to happen. And when you say continuous manufacturing, you're just going to feed your ingredients in and pick out the tablets at the end. It's not like, the regular manufacturing where at every step your granules are ready, you take them, do some tests, ensure that they're good, go to the next step, punch the tablets, look at dissolution, look at disintegration. All those steps are eliminated. So the quality has to be totally built into the product. Every little aspect, whether it is the material or the method, has to be looked into very critically. And the research aspects of developing a product for continuous manufacture are very different. Whole cells are going to be used in therapy. Delivery wise, very different. Big area is cosmeceuticals and nutraceuticals, right? So there are, the boundaries are thinning. There are cosmetics which are being used for treating certain conditions like acne, etc. There are nutritional supplements which are being introduced into mainstream therapy, and their delivery may be different. So all these are avenues which you can explore. New technologies need to be developed because of various reasons. Like, say, one thing that's coming to my mind is oral films. Okay, many small dose drugs, especially those which are used by the pediatric or geriatric population, are being reformulated into small films, oral films, for placing on the tongue, and they quickly dissolve and they are swallowed. Now, when we say, okay, mouth dissolved tablets are also there, but they can be made using conventional tableting technologies. Whereas for oral films, it's a totally a different type of manufacturing technology. And once you develop a platform in which you can easily manufacture oral films in an environmentally friendly, solvent free manner, it is something which you can use from one drug to the other. So it's a platform which you have prepared, and by small little experimentation you can change the molecule that you are incorporating into the film. Newer technologies, microneedles are coming up. Chips for drug delivery are coming up. Computerized chips. There is, pumps, insulin pumps, which are feedback loops, and high-end technologies integrated. Nanosystems, of course, is there and is there to stay for some time. New routes are being explored for drug delivery for systemic action. Okay, I've just mentioned pulmonary here, but many routes are being explored for, especially because all the new drugs are peptides, and many of the new drugs are peptides and proteins. They cannot be delivered orally, they will get digested, and you have to look for alternatives. Injectable, of course, yes, that's always available, but that's not such a patient-friendly method, right? So there's a lot of work going on exploring alternative routes for delivering these kind of molecules. I think with that, I come to a close. I really hope I have touched upon or answered some of the things that are there at the back of your mind, and resolved some doubts that you may have. Uh, I don't know. I think it's up to the organizers, but we are open for questions, and anything more that you have, please feel free to ask. I may
Yes,
not
we'll open for the
right away, but yeah.
question and answer in a short while. So I wish, madam, your talk was so elaborative that I wish I was a BPharm student that just completed, a BPharm. So
Thank you, Mr.
really,
Thank
really,
you.
really good talk, and you can see comments the way we are getting. I mean, continuously we are getting that very nice resource person, very nice presentation. Thank you, host. All these sort of comments are there.
Oh,
So I
I'm
would
so
just
happy.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, around 200 students were watching at one point, and 60 to 70 already liked your video, madam. So coming to the summary, madam started her talk with a very valid point that there are going to be challenges in your career, and you have to be mentally, your emotional quotient will be really important for future. And she has given a realistic picture and one has to be really tolerant in any field of, you can say, be it research, management, whatever, or administration. And communication is the key, even in research. And you should have subject knowledge. You should be meticulous. You should be kind of a team worker. You should be a kind of leader. Be ready to acquire new knowledge and skill, because industry is continuously and science is continuously updating. And of course, last but not least, which is mandatory, honesty is best policy. You should be ethical. You should be ready to adapt the change. So, madam also guided on the kind of work it goes on pharmaceutics field, like formulation and what kind of regulatory knowledge you should have. And very important point, take home message, madam, I am also taking it, that don't create another problem while you are solving one. Madam also shared that in career, please don't choose shortcut. So I'll just share that madam is a avid, I'll say, teacher. This is only one teacher can do, to guide your student without any, expectation from them, and nobody will guide that. Don't take such kind of shortcut. Madam also compared, whenever, research, sooner you'll be ordering your chemicals or your requirement or instrument, right? So when we get such order, right, or maybe say you can say quotation, we compare it. So madam gave that comparative statement over here about choices in academic and industry. What are the challenges and opportunities you're going to have there? Madam also shared the challenges she herself, faced during research. Her student, how they solved it, and what were the outcomes. She also took us to the lane of history for success stories as far as academic research is concerned. And I mean, in that go, she also shared what is advantage India if you are doing research in India. Another part which I like very much, madam, was specific areas of formulation development and research firms which are working in FR&D and CRO, expedient firm, and also the new areas like biological 3D printing, nutraceuticals, as well as nano and micro technology. So this was the gist of what madam has shared. Based on this slide, if anybody has any questions, please float in the chat box. Till this point, I was not seeing any question. ICT team, do you see any question? While we are searching for questions, thank you, ma'am, for explaining each and every point clearly.
No questions can mean what everybody says. No, two things. Either nobody understood anything or they understood everything.
Yes. They are thanking means they have understood everything. If they don't have questions, then madam, I will have myself to have two queries. Students or participant, I will need to share over here that yesterday we had madam's husband, who is also a very leading personality in the field of science and pharmaceuticals. Dr. Ajit Nair was here. So he was talking that there is a kind of changes happening at a rapid pace in the industry. So it happens that what we teach over here in the labs, or you can say at our level, that may not come really handy to students. So how to cope up with this problem? What do you suggest, madam?
No, according to me, no, this can only be solved by a trainer kind of train the trainer kind of
Okay.
approach. No, because see, typically, including me, I have had limited industrial exposure. So when you once you join academics, you are in a different thing, and at least I have always made an effort. But no, many teachers are not able to find the time or the situation to make an effort to learn what is actually the ground reality happening in the industry. So when the students come out of no from the institutes, they are absolutely, they are not see, that's why do you think, the software engineers earn so much? Because they are ready for the job from day one.
Mhm.
Whereas our kids, they need to undergo 1 year probation, then training, then whatnot, because they are not ready to run yet. Okay, and it's not a small problem. This is my, again, totally my personal opinion, but I think there has to be a big shift in the way things are taught. Of course, there is a PCI certain initiative. They do
Yes.
this train the trainers thing, because even they have realized that there is such a big disconnect. There is a big thing that has to be patched up, because industry is moving at, like, a heavy pace. Science is moving at a very heavy pace. Whereas pharma academia, especially the undergraduate part and even postgraduate in many institutes, is way disconnected. वो अपना ही pill बना के बैठेंगे तो where will we reach? So the change is not possible. As teachers, each individual can try.
Yes.
Okay, each individual can try, but no, it's a big vacuum that needs to be passed, and all of us have to take responsibility for it. All of us.
And in continuation, Mr. Yash Pandey asked that how to get knowledge of instruments or equipment which may use in future.
Hmm.
What do you suggest, madam?
What I would say, more than learning to use an instrument, which is not difficult anytime. It not that it's easy, but if you have the right approach, you go approach the instrument in the right way, learn the basics. Then learning to the instrument. For example, I'll give you a simple example, that is PCS. Okay, photon correlation spectrophotometry. So this is used for particle sizing. Now everybody is into nano, so everybody is using a DLS or a PCS for particle sizing. But I have seen in my own experience, the principle of the instrument is not known. Okay, so how to interpret the data that comes from there is also not completely understood.
Yes, it happens.
So you have to learn to use the instrument, no doubt about that. But that is a table knowledge that can be learned. But it is more important to approach it from a more fundamental level, wherein you know the principle of the instrument, you know how it works, and then at the given opportunity you can learn. Because learning the instrument, I don't know if all colleges can have all the instruments that you need to know when you step into
Correct. And another thing which can be done, that at least whatever instrument you have at your college, explore them. If your friends
Yeah,
are working, yes, explore them, go with them and
yeah,
try to learn it. This will be one
yes.
thing. Second thing, madam, what I suggest would be that try to get connected with industry, do some a little bit of work at industry. I remember one of my student, madam, Akshay, Mr. Akshay. So he went to his native place and he learned HPLC. He came back, that paid him even for for his project, and he was quickly hired by Dr. Reddy's, and I suppose that he will be the best student who has got the best package of 4 lakh per annum as far as
No,
my students are concerned.
correct.
This
So
is what we can do.
initiative has to come from the
Come.
student. No, if they are
Yes.
willing, then there is a lot that can be learned. But I find, typically, even when you send them to the industry, sometimes they will not be in that learning frame.
Oh,
They don't want to learn, or no, we have such kind of, I've seen such kind of students. Even there I have seen, 1 month training we used to send them. They will just sit around and chat and do, which is okay. As students you must enjoy yourself, but
yes.
you must not neglect to
The serious things.
using
Yeah.
every learning opportunity. That is very important, because you may not come to that setup again. Now the HPLC is there in front of you, the instrument is there in front of you. Grab the opportunity with both hands. Chat on the side, but learn this also.
Correct. Another question by Varsha Vaze. She is inquisitive about nutraceutical and current market and what is their future probably.
Oh, I'm not the right person, very frankly, Varsha. I can just tell you that, because so many of the diseases are, what we give as therapy is actually disease management, not prevention. Right. So now, especially with this COVID, and even before that, people are waking up to the fact that what we are taking in as nutrition is probably not adequate, and we need to supplement. So this is a big market. It's a
Big
big.
market. Big.
Doctors are prescribing left, right, and center all sorts of nutraceuticals. Okay, so it's going to become a big market. So it's a major avenue. What is the current place in terms of revenue and all? I am very sorry, but unfortunately, right now I don't know. Maybe you
Yes.
can just Google and see. Yeah.
Another student, Mr. Anurag Khadi, he inquires about alternative exams for going for research. I hope he is aware about GPAT. If anything other than that, I mean, if you want to go to research, you suggest, madam.
No, see, if you have, there are, if you want to do your research, first, of course, you have to do your master's. Huh? That can be through GPAT, that may not be through GPAT. Okay, most states have their own entrances. And if you've not done well in GPAT or if you've not even attempted GPAT, you can try those entrances. And even without those entrances, also there are institutes which have ways to admit candidates. Okay, so if you have missed the bus so far, you can still do something and get yourself a master's degree. But after that, next step, you have to be careful. Okay, when you go for PhD, you try and go to a reputed place if you want to get the required benefit. Now, again, many institutes have their own entrances. They may take GPAT qualification as a criteria when they exempt the entrance, but without GPAT, they have their own entrances, they have interviews. Okay, there are many avenues. You have to keep your eyes and ears open. And today, with the internet, at the click, you can know where what is happening, awareness building, and keep a watch on what is happening. So there are many alternatives. It's not that you did not write GPAT because you thought you don't want to be in research. Now suddenly you realize you want to be, to darwaza band hai. It's not like that.
Another participant, Mr. Amol Borade, inquires about GRDDS, its future and perspective regarding commercialized product.
I don't know. There are a few, of course, in the market, but I would not know the future. Again, it's not something that you can do for every drug. Okay, if it has real relevance for that particular molecule, good rationale. So I can't say GRDDS has a lot of scope. So har kisi ko we will make GRDDS. This is the problem. In
Yes.
fact, according to me, the rationale is the last thing that is looked at. So for very few molecules, maybe they are, having a absorption window high in the stomach, or some other rationale, because strong rationale because which GRDDS works, which may be hardly 1 or 2% of all the molecules that are there in the market. So GRDDS is applicable only for 1 or 2% of all those molecules. So I can't say it can be commercialized for every product. It doesn't work that way, right?
So I suppose that's all from question and answer session. Now we are now coming to the end of the session. So I would request Dr. Anita Aire, who is head of the department Quality Assurance, associate professor at VS College of Pharmacy. Madam, over to you, please. Place a vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you, and good morning, Dr. Hema ma'am. I don't know
Yes.
if you remember, but I was a B.Pharm student at BCP, and you had
Oh,
taught
yes.
this very
Yeah, yeah,
well.
Anita, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh,
Uh,
this catch
so,
up. Good.
first, nice seeing you here, ma'am, through the online platform. So,
Yeah.
to start with, thank you to all the participants. We have received a really overwhelming response in terms of the registration. So, we had received a total of 650 registrations from all colleges across Mumbai, Maharashtra, and we had received many registrations from especially the state of Kerala and Bangalore. I would here like to mention the name of the college, Nirmala College of Pharmacy from Kerala, because a maximum of 60 participants, they had actually made them sit in the seminar hall. So thanks to the faculty members of that college for doing this arrangement. And of course, ma'am, I would like to mention over here that we have very good views on YouTube, and already there are 100 plus likes. So thank you for making the session so informative and interesting. And I believe that this will solve the purpose of us having this particular session in the area of formulation development. I would also like to thank the management and principal of our college, Dr. Supriya Shide, for giving us an opportunity to undertake this particular venture of Research Connect series. We are in the second year of this particular series, and we believe that in this year also we would be able to continue on the noble cause of delivering whatever best it is for the BPharm graduates, so that they get a right path in terms of deciding their research work and channelizing their career opportunities. I would also like to thank the head of the departments, Dr. Mushtaq Sheikh sir for pharmaceutical chemistry, and Professor Hillekar ma'am from Department of Pharmaceutics for their constant support. A big thanks to our backend ICT team for their support. And participants, just a quick announcement for you all. In the next week on 23rd and 24th of September, we are going to have a 2-day physical workshop on giving you an essence of how research is done. So we are going to portray using a model drug, that how you the journey of that particular drug starts with the drug discovery, moving on to its formulation development, analysis, characterization, isolation of the phytoconstituents if it's from a herbal origin, and then later on the preclinical studies. So we'll be sharing with you the details of this upcoming workshop. So kindly do also register for that physical workshop. Stay safe and stay healthy. So that's it from my side. Thank you.